Welcome back to my channel. I have my little troll here and well, she's got a flower in her hair just like me. So, welcome, no matter what side of the rainbow you happen to be sitting on. I don't care. Gay, straight, in between, not sure, transgender, I accept everyone. So, um, I have gone through quite a few comments, more comments than I've ever gone through in my life. And thank you so much for the feedback, for just, the interactions. Being able to talk to people is so, it's cool, like I'm enjoying getting to know you guys and being able to answer some of your questions, and honestly, learning some things along the way. There are things I had no idea about, such as, people in Wales not paying for prescription costs. That's cool. I had no idea. So I have picked up quite a bit of information. I did go through every one of my videos on the medical portion, and I've gone through and I've done my best to figure out what questions people had. Now, I didn't write down names. I should have. I forgot to do that, but I did write down what the questions were, and I'm going to do my very best to answer as much as I can. And if I don't happen to answer it in this segment, then I'll just do another one. So don't worry. Um, I have a little extra time. And since lockdown, I've had time to be able to put this together and just had the courage to finally get on YouTube and start talking to people. So it's been it's been really great. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. Somebody was telling me that I needed to mention about the prescription coverage plan, kind of like a prepayment. And I went to the website just 5 minutes ago and I checked for the most updated information that I could get. Now, there's two of them. Back when I knew about it, there were three, but now there's two options. One is for a 3-month payment. And what you do is you pay, I believe it was £30.25 for 3-month coverage. And what that does is if you happen to have, say, 5 prescriptions, and you have to go and get them, then that means that you've already paid for 3 months, so you're okay. And it counts also any kind of like dental prescriptions that you get as well. Did check on that. And the second one is for 12 months, and it's £108, 10p, and that'll cover you for a year. And I think it's a pretty good idea. The website kind of likened it into a season pass, basically. And it's true, because if not, the current rate per prescription is £9.35 per item. Now, when I think about that, £9 35p per item. In all my life living in America, if I had ever seen my prescriptions down to the cost of the approximate equivalent of £9.35 in America, I think I would have started crying with happiness, just because it would have been possible to finally afford them. And yet, I have read some comments and articles where people are bemoaning the fact that they have to pay this much for their prescriptions, but it's not that bad, really. In a way, I wish they could get a little bit of perspective, not suffer, but just like have somebody else explain the way it is to them in their part of the world and how lucky they actually are. Maybe they'd appreciate it more, because it is a gift. £9.35 per prescription. I wish I would go to the pharmacist and hope for that, but it was a dream over there. It was just, fantasy. You're just kind of, as they would say here, you're having a laugh. There's no way. Um, over there, um, it was a lot more. And I did actually want to address that. Another part of that, there was a lady, I believe, who was commenting and saying that there are social workers in the hospital that would take care of people that had no insurance and undocumented workers and things like that. And they also said that they personally had never seen anybody who was uninsured mistreated. Now, I would like to just go over what they said. They had never seen it. Okay, but there are millions of things happening, situations with patients that have no insurance all over America. And your perspective is that you never saw that. Okay, that doesn't negate the fact that it happened over and over again for millions of the rest of us. Um, it may not line up with what you saw, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I just wanted to say that. And actually, when I said that the hospital had agreed to pay for some of my prescription costs, I mentioned that, and that's what I was referring to. And those prescriptions were for the steroids for my lungs. And they were, in fact, the cheapest prescriptions that were on the list. I'm grateful to them for what they did. However, the drugs that would have helped prevent me from going back to the hospital again, those are the ones that were actually out of reach, and I could not afford to get them. There is there's no real solution except a form of universal health care for everyone. I was discussing this with my partner, and I said this to her. When I became ill on the various occasions that I did, I held off as long as I could. I didn't want to go in. I knew what it meant. I knew the cost would be ridiculous. I was scared. And then you go because you have no other choice. And you go there and you end up in intensive care, or you end up in this, some sort of form of surgery or whatever it is. And the thing that I hate is you go into the hospital because you have no choice, and you come out a debt slave, basically, owing, tens of thousands of dollars for something that you did not cause. You did not do anything to aggravate, to instigate in your body. You didn't, it's not like you had a little, afternoon tea with your body and decided, I think it would be interesting if you had, say, these kind of diseases and then couple it with this and that. I think that'd be a real fun, good time. We should do that. Yeah. No, no. Um, these are things that just happen. And it's not something that you can forestall. It's not something you can foresee. And it's certainly not something that you can put off. It happens when it happens, and you get sick. And every single person on this planet is going to need to go to see a doctor at some point in their life. And that really, all these reasons are why universal health care are the only thing that makes sense to me and to many other people that either have lived in England all their life, or Wales, or Scotland, or Northern Ireland, and to the people that have come from other places and come to England and realize this works. And yes, there are problems in the NHS. Nobody is disputing that. There have been a couple of naysayers in the comments I've noticed, and they say things that make it sound like we are a bunch of daydreamers saying, oh, the NHS is a wonderful, fabulous thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. Um, I've combed the comments, and nowhere in any way, shape, or form is anybody saying that the NHS is without problems. Of course, there's problems, but you know, there's problems in that, just like there's problems in, the American medical system. Except the difference is in the NHS, you're treated like a person and you don't leave the hospital scared, nervous, even more worried than when you went in, because you know that whatever it is that you went in for, you're on your own now. If you have no insurance, you're literally on your own. You have no help. I mean, if you can get into a free clinic, okay, then do that, But I tried, and there are so many of those free clinics, and most of them, I swear, are booked full up. You can't get in. I had a tooth problem at one point, and the free clinic, I had to wait for quite a while with a tooth problem. And as you know, lots of pain there. I went in, and it was just neck and neck. I mean, there were so many people in there, and none of them had insurance, just like me. It's a big problem, and it's not fair that people are just ignored. And some of the stories that I was reading in the comments, the one gentleman who had the hernia, that the hospital had said does not require emergency surgery, and he was suffering so badly, and the callous nature of the hospital people really is not surprising to me at all. And they're in the business to save people's lives and to be caretakers in a way of people's lives, and they're in a system that doesn't really allow them to do that. I have talked candidly to, some friends that were nurses, or people that knew people that were nurses. I just, talk to them. And I wasn't recording them or anything. And they would be very candid. And they said, I don't like treating people like that, but I need my job. I need my health insurance. They're terrified of losing their health insurance, and they're dealing with people that don't have any, that would give probably almost anything to have health insurance. Nobody wants to be without that. Nobody does. It's scary. And what I would hear a lot from just various people is, well, why should I pay for somebody else being sick? Um, that's not my problem. It's a very selfish kind of mentality. And I've never been sick a day in my life, so why should my taxes go up to pay for other people that are? It's not my fault they're sickly, they've got problems. I have literally heard all of what I just said verbatim several times from several different people over my life, and it is so, it's the opposite of what I believe. So it's kind of hard to listen to, because I'm just a bit surprised, But I was gonna also add something. One thing that's very difficult, and I completely forgot to mention this, but I remembered it. Um, in America, if you go to a new doctor, or anything really, chiropractor, anyone that requires a record, or say wants a copy of your MRI, or anything like that, x-rays, they want records. And as I've explained, there's no large network of everybody being connected, and pretty much, this hand knowing what that hand is doing, so that everybody's connected, and what prescriptions have been given, all of these things. And, it cuts down on the abuse of prescriptions. Well, in order to get your medical files, it's uh, it's one of the most difficult things I can think of, really, because I would be required to go to every medical institution that I have been to, either by phone, obviously, and request my records. And of course, there's a fee for that each time. And there's no guarantee that they'll even still have them after a few years. I don't know that. So that's valuable information, developmental information that I've lost, that could be some indicator of some problem for the future that could have been maybe avoided had it been kept. But, for instance, I have medical records in at least 5 different hospitals and a few private doctors' offices, because I have had several health problems, from kidney stones to back surgeries and a heart attack and so on. There's been quite a few. And I would be more than happy to tell you about uh, each one and what I went through and the experience I had. um, I had the heart attack here in England, so I can tell you about what that was like here. Uh, but I did have a request from a young man who is studying to be a doctor, and he wanted to know what it's like at the A&E and what it's like at the emergency room. Basically, what it would be like comparing the two um, experiences. So I'm going to do my best. Um, when you go to the emergency room let's start in America, you will obviously, you're going to walk in some big sliding glass doors. It's going to be a very typical waiting room, any kind of chairs. Although it's usually pretty nice furniture, pretty nice hospital, looks pretty decent. Um, Depending on where you go, there's some that might be a bit more run down than others, but that's, I think, any country. Uh, So you walk in and you have to go up to the secretary or the nurse on duty. Sometimes both, um, because there'll be one that'll have a number that you have to go grab, and then you wait until your number's called, and then you go talk to the nurse on duty. Um, so you wait, and once you go up to the nurse, then what'll happen is usually they'll give you a like what's the word? A clipboard, and there's a form on it, and you fill it out and you explain what's happened, and what the severity is, and also fill in your insurance. And when you don't have any of that, obviously you leave it blank and you just wait for the dirty looks, because they will come. They will come. And you'll get withering sighs and nasty attitudes because you don't have health insurance. Even though, I mean, a huge portion of the American population do not have it. But, we're still maligned and treated like that. Can't get away from it. I don't know. But once you turn in that paperwork, you sit down, and the wait time, it can be anywhere, depending obviously on how busy it is that particular day or night. Weekends generally tend, I believe, to be worse, no matter what country. Um, So you go, and eventually they will call you, and you will either be wheeled back or, however and whatever you've hurt, you will find a way to get back to the rooms, and they'll find an exam room for you. And depending on the size of the hospital, you could have anywhere from 5 to, I've seen 20 exam rooms, and it's just like a long hallway, and quite a lot of them are not actual, they're not always solid rooms. you will have half of the hallway be actual rooms with doors, and the other half are just curtains. And it's just a floating hallway, basically. So you're put into one of those rooms, and then you wait some more. So when you're waiting out in the main place, you, like I said, you can wait. I've waited at least, I'd say, 30 minutes, and at most 2.5, 3 hours. Sometimes more. It just depends. So you're in the secondary part of this. So you're waiting on your bed, and it's, if you're in pain, it just feels like forever. You just want it to stop, and you know that it's just, it's the worst position to be in, really, because if you really legitimately are suffering, and they're looking at you like, yeah, you're a drug addict or something, it's the worst feeling, really. um, but after a period of time, you will have a nurse come in, and it's a long metal stick, and then it has like a little computer attached to it. It's on wheels, and they take it into each room, and they use that to fill out your information, and then they'll print out a little bracelet, and then put that little bracelet on with your information. And what happens then is you wait again. And eventually, you'll get to speak to a doctor. It happens. So you get to speak to the doctor, and they usually are under a lot of pressure. They're very crunched for time, you can tell, and they just want you to get to the point. Like, what is wrong with you? And you will do your very best to get that communication back and forth with them, and hopefully you'll come to a solution. He'll understand, and he will either prescribe something for you, or he will, suggest you go speak to another doctor, a specialist, or go see a psychiatrist. It just depends on what's bothering you, really. But overall, it's very professional. No matter what country I've been in, they're both very professional. Um, and they're both very much under a lot of pressure, a lot of them. The main difference is how they treat patients towards the end, uh, and during, actually, because in America, if you have no insurance, there are times when you can tell they're not pleased that you're there, and they will tell you sometimes. And the thing is they're not being recorded. I didn't have a phone to record them or anything, and so they get away with it. And I've had some nurses say some things that weren't very pleasant. They were kind of snide, not outright insults, but just little snide comments. So, yeah. But the doctors would do their very best. And, there had been one instance where a doctor had said that I had drug-seeking behavior, but come to find out, not very long after that, I had to go back to the hospital, and this is me trying to get my pain under control so that I can go back to work. And yeah, it was. It didn't work out very well. I ended up losing that job anyway, but that was a really good job. I really enjoyed it. Because I got to talk to people on the phone and help them out, and sometimes they're grouchy, yes, but I still liked it. Yeah, but eventually they will, once you've spoken to the doctor, he's given his assessment, they will bring you some paperwork, and it will give you your treatment plan, and all your personal information. Basically, everything that transpired is input into the computer and given to you at the end. And then they tell you you have to go over here to speak to this woman, basically about, the finance portion of it. And then you would be expected to go home after you speak to her. And you go home knowing that you now have a nice sizable debt added onto whatever it is you owed prior. That's it's not great, but yeah, it's very it's very much like what you get in an A&E in England, really. It's just like I said, it's a different atmosphere when it comes to uh, like the rhythm of it and the payment and how they treat people. It's just it could be considered a bit, I guess, subtle. Um, it's they're I guess it'd be illegal for them to be too overt about it, but yeah, if you have no insurance, after a while you begin to recognize it, and it's not very nice. Okay, now another thing about American emergency rooms is that they're usually packed. Uh, you'll usually find quite a few people in like wheelchairs. There were people in the waiting room that I saw that, well, they were drooling on themselves. Nobody was really kind of looking after them. They were kind of put to the side. I don't know what was wrong with them, and I don't know like where they were supposed to be. So I can only tell you what I saw. I have seen people um, on the floor, and there was blood, and they looked worse off than I did. But they had been there waiting, and they'd have like a tourniquet, um, and sometimes I would talk to some of them just to try to distract them from their pain if I could. Seemed to help a little bit. Don't know, but you try because I don't know. I mean, I just can't watch somebody suffer. I can't. Um, I have to try to help them with things that have helped me. So, you know, but if you go to an emergency room in America, depending on the city that you go to, you're almost guaranteed to see great suffering, you know, and desperate people. And people that really don't want to be there, but they really can't wait anymore and they had to have it looked at, whatever it is. So, that's what I remember, and that's my truth. So, again, this is my experience, and I am not trying to make a generalization. I'm just telling you my experience. The A&E experience that I had in England, however, you go in. There's ambulances outside, kind of like same thing at the American hospital. People coming and going, same thing. And you go in and you go up to the nurse that's behind the glass. You get your uh, paperwork, and I don't remember filling out paperwork. What I did was I remember giving her my information, and then like they had my NHS number, and they have you wait in the waiting room, and then when they call you back, they do put you in those little rooms, and sometimes they're little curtain rooms too, so that's similar as well, and they will assess you once you get back there, and they will give you the same like little hospital band as well. So those are all very similar, and when you speak to the doctor, again, pretty similar. Um, so there's a lot of things that definitely mirror each other between America and England's medical system as far as intake, appearance. The A&E, though, there was really quiet. And there were a few people in there. It wasn't packed, but there were, 20 or so people. And it looked like it could have fit about 50. So if that gives you any kind of like idea. Now, uh, I was in a wheelchair, but that was only because I was dealing with some back pain, and it just felt better. So I got popped into one of those, and you know wheel to the back. I spoke to the doctor, and they they listened to me. They gave me some painkiller. They took the information I was giving to them, and then they put it into the NHS database. And all of that, plus the doctor's recommendations, would be forwarded directly to my doctor at Roborough Surgery. And it's really amazing what they can do, you know. And they have all this information about you, and you don't have to worry about hunting for the files and hoping that they know what's happening, because it's all there right in front of you, or right in front of them, really. Uh, so that was pretty nifty. Um, and let's see. After they help you with that, they make sure that you have someone that can take you home, so that you're not going home under the influence of, like, say, morphine or something, and make sure that you get home safely. That's all. That was their main concern, not how are you going to pay for this? Do you have health insurance? Nothing to demean you, to make you feel like guilty. You know, you would feel so guilty over in America constantly. It was uh, like one of my friends is Catholic, and she tells me that the one thing you feel quite often is guilty. You feel so guilty all the time. And I have to wonder, is that what it feels like being Catholic? Having no insurance, feeling guilty all the time for things that you didn't really do. Like, you know, I don't know. I have to find something funny about all this. It's one of those things. You either laugh or you cry. I always found laughing's much nicer. Um, let's see if I have anything else here. Um, let me think. Did I cover everything I wanted to cover on this? I think I did. Yeah, good. So, um, well, I think next time I'm going to talk about my heart attack and what that was like. Quite a lot goes into that. That lasted for about 2 weeks, and it was in the summer. It's really hot. Let's say that. Um, oh, I'm happy to say I waited it out, and we found two more creatures. These kind of like creatures right here. See, they're called creatures. And this one's a troll, very cute. And she's got like little ears up here somewhere. Yeah, you can see her ears. Little bitty earsies. And I think she's perfectly adorable. Plus, we match. But the ones I have coming is Medusa, and it's a cat, and she has little like weird snaky things in her hair. So I'm excited. And then the second one is Baby Abyss, and it kind of reminds me of a Triceratops dinosaur. And I love dinosaurs, and I love like robots. So, Pacific Rim was right up my alley. It was such a good movie. But I love stuff like that. And it's been really, really amazing talking to all of you guys. I'm really enjoying this. And I'm watching the numbers of like subscribers, and I can't get over it. I keep staring at the number going, wow. And I'm just hoping that, like, by doing this, it can really, like, open somebody's eyes somewhere and, like, help people see how it can be. You know? That's what I want. I want there to be less suffering. That's what I've always really wanted in this world. Less suffering, and just people not having to worry so much about things that they can't control. I don't think that's too much to ask, But, yeah, that's all the information I have. If you have any questions, you can always ask me anything, really, If I don't want to answer it and it's too personal, then I will let you know. But if not, then ask me what you like. Okay, see, you know what? You're gonna get to see this. See, this is fibromyalgia, a little bit. It's like a stabbing pain in my foot, and there's no warning at all. It just comes whenever it wants to. Ow. Hey, kitty. Ow. I'm still recording, honey.
I know.
Oh, gosh, this hurts. Hmm. I thought I may as well let them see.
I'm sorry.
Ah, it's so cute. You know, I've got you, and then Tina's down there, and she's like rubbing on my little toe. Yes, I love you too. But I want to like lower the suffering in the world. I don't want people to have to suffer. You know. Um. Okay. Yes, it's not doing it anymore. Hopefully, it will let me stop the video now. Wow, that one actually made my eyes water. But yeah, I mean that'll happen anytime. It could be like my cheek, my ear, my hands, anything. I can get stabbed anywhere. So yeah, it's pretty painful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I really appreciate you subscribing. I do, and thank you. This is my lovely kitten.